Hey, Keith and Caleb, and we're back at Rock Island Auctions, and today we have got some pretty cool guns right here. Kind of goes from one extreme to the other, Caleb.
It does. It goes from one extreme to the other. Maybe you've seen these before. You've probably seen at least one of these before. And if you're watching this saying, "Oh, that's an old AK-47," just go ahead and click off the video. Go somewhere else. No, I'm kidding. So what we have before us here, we have a Volkssturmgewehr VG1-5. And then we have a StG 44. But the cool thing about the StG 44 is that it has an original optic on it, which they didn't really, that wasn't a thing. They didn't do, like you can grab any other StG 44 in here, which that's weird to say already. Like there's other,
a couple, you know.
You can just go grab one of the StG 44s, just go grab one of those other guns. But no, needless to say, this is there's a lot of them in here. But anyway, as I was saying, the optic is made specifically for this gun. If you want to flip it over, Keith, they can take a look at that optic mount. So the mount is built on, I'll pull the optic off real quick here. Do a little show and tell action.
Button.
It slides off. All right. And just dovetails on. StG 44s didn't all have this mount. This mount's welded to this gun. And then this optic, this wasn't just your FG 42 whatever optic that was thrown on here. This was specifically calibrated to this rifle in this caliber, so 8mm Kurz, and that's kind of crazy. So the thing about it, like we're probably never gonna see another one like this with an optic on it. This was this was a super rare thing. Not only is it rare to find an StG 44 with an optic on it, this particular StG 44 is in like 90% condition, which is crazy enough. So it's a really nice gun with a super rare optic on it. It's insane. And if you're looking at this StG 44, this also proves the fact that World War II Nazis were time travelers. They traveled to the future, stole designs, then went back to the past and applied those designs in the firearm. All right. So as you can see, we have a Eugene Stoner AR-15 dust cover that they stole here. Flipped it upside down. Boom. There it is. I mean, look at this thing. Okay, in all seriousness, obviously, this was way before the AR-15. But that's an AR-15 dust cover. For, all intents and purposes, look at it. The spring's in the same position. Yep. It's just upside down.
Your detent style.
That's insane, Keith. And then there's another feature here. They stole this from Kalashnikov. You got your Kalashnikov style scope mount on there. But no, in all seriousness, it's a really cool design that obviously predates those other designs.
Yeah, just way ahead of its time.
You can, for these components, you can kind of see where Kalashnikov and Stoner got some ideas from and applied to their firearm designs, especially being a stamped sheet metal firearms weren't really a thing either.
No.
And this made it a thing.
It sure did. Absolutely. I mean, the AK would have been the next really stamped sheet metal, and the first run of them, they had problems with them. Had to pull that out. Went to the milled receivers, and then once they got their heat treating and their stampings perfected, then the AK has been stamped ever since.
Yeah, and that's just proof that stamping a stamped sheet metal firearm can definitely be a reliable firearm.
Yep, absolutely.
So we've done a video on the StG 44 in the past, so you can check that one out. We go into a little bit more detail on it there. I just kind of wanted to point out some general features here before we move over to the Volkssturmgewehr, which is a super interesting gun. This is the one. So this guy here, it's like, okay, we're obviously losing this war.
Losing it in a bad way.
We need to arm every man, woman, and child, and we need to do it on the quick and on the cheap. This was the gun. Even though it wasn't really that quick and cheap to manufacture. In theory it was, but reality it wasn't. They ended up making about 10,000 of these, and it's another stamped sheet metal gun. It's also chambered in Kurz, so it actually uses StG 44 magazines. Like, you can just throw that magazine in here and you're good to go. Hopefully this one fits here. I haven't even tried it before the video. Look at that, like a glove.
All
right, and then we have mag release here. Pull it right out. So the gun itself operates on a delayed blowback. So like there's a gas chamber underneath this barrel shroud. And whenever you fire it, it pressurizes that chamber and it keeps the bolt forward. Whenever the bullet exits the muzzle, that pressure drops and there's still enough inertia left over from the initial blast to throw the action back, which is a pretty cool design. It's more complex than what you would expect on something they want to be cheap and fast.
Absolutely, yeah. This for a last-ditch gun is overly complex. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just too much went into this for what it was used for.
Right, and this appears to be a later model. The earlier models had a kind of like a spring steel magazine catch on this side here, but this one doesn't. So this is a little bit later. Yeah, it has a later serial number on it, and the serial numbers were actually on the stocks on these. I'll flip it over here. Like I said, they made 10,000 of these. This one's in the 8,000 range, right there on the stock. No serial numbers on the receiver. They just stuck it on the stock and said that's good enough. So that is the Volkssturmgewehr VG1-5, and the reason it's called the 1.5, there's really no clear German documentation on that. It's thought to be that whenever the U.S. acquired the technical documents for it, they translated it wrong into a 1.5, but it was just called the Volkssturmgewehr. So yeah, there it is. Really crude sights on there as well. Relatively simple takedown. You just knock a few pins out, unscrew the muzzle shroud, and that comes off. But the trigger, the whole fire control group is riveted together. You can't take that apart to do any kind of part change or anything like that. These were, if they broke, you just threw it away and grabbed another one. It's a last ditch gun. So you weren't sending it back to the factory for repair. So yeah, that's what we got here, Keith.
Cool. Well, folks, thanks for watching. We'd like to thank Rock On Auction for having us out once again to peruse all these fine guns. And if you've got any questions or comments, be sure to drop us a line. And be sure to tune in again whenever we bring another gun from the vault.